Hello and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with uatv. Ukraine's online procurement system Prozoro helped save over 27 billion hryvnia of the budget money in 2017. What are other advantages of the system and how is it developing? To unfold the topic, we're joined in the studio today by Viktor Nestulya. He is the head of the innovational programs with Transparency International Ukraine. Hello and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So tell us more about this procurement system called Prozoro. How is it developing? How is it benefiting for Ukrainian economy and overall for Ukrainian reforms?
Okay, so public procurement system development started back in 2014 when the group of volunteers, just after Revolution of Dignity, decided to crucially change the system of public procurement in our country. And then they suggested to implement very simple step. Electronization of public procurement. They were supported by business who invested first $35,000 to develop minimum viable product and later by Ministry of Economic Development and Trade. So during 2015 we piloted Prozoro system and it showed really great success. So in the end of 2015 our parliament voted for the law on public procurement and made the system obligatory for the whole country. Starting from August 1st, 2016, every particular tender in our country is conducted through Prozoro system. However,
I'm sorry, has that helped eliminate corruption in any way?
To some extent, yes, but Prozoro, it is not an anti-corruption tool. It's just a system which gives you an opportunity to communicate transparently. And it just sheds the light to all wrongdoings and all bad practices which are still happening in public procurement system. To change all situation with corruption, we have to work on many other directions, among which are working and reform of controlling authorities like State Audit Service or National Police, reform of complaints as well, as we are now see this feature in new amendments from Poroshenko.
All right, I've heard that there are new projects that involve the World Bank financing are already present on the Prozoro platform. Could you dwell on that a little bit more?
Yes, so public procurement system Prozoro gives an opportunity to conduct tenders for public money. And most of people perceive public money as money from state budget. But in fact, we have a lot of other money which should be perceived as public money. For example, money...
What kind of money are we talking about here?
We are talking about money of state enterprises, for example. They are not financed by a state budget, but it is still public money. And of course, we're talking about finances from institutional financial organizations who are providing loans to our country, and we are responsible for paying back that loans. And in fact, World Bank projects or European Bank for Reconstruction or European Investment Bank projects exactly this kind of projects. So it's public money, and that is why it is very logical to conduct procurement of such projects through Prozoro system. And such international financial institutions have several options to conduct procurements within their projects. First of all, they have their own internal rules, and in most countries, which are different from Prozoro, which
in Ukraine, if we're talking about Ukrainian Prozoro, what are those rules?
It's not it's worldwide rules of these institutions. So you are conducting a tender in paper. So you are submitting envelopes to World Bank and institutions who are implementing projects with their support. So in most countries, projects of these financial institutions and tenders within these projects are conducted in paper. And when institutions give an opportunity to the country to conduct procurements within their project with their local systems, it means that the level of trust and the level of transparency of such systems is really high. So starting from this year, World Bank and European Bank for Reconstruction, International Reconstruction and Development allowed us to conduct their tenders through our Prozoro system. It means that Prozoro is really trustworthy and transparent system.
Plans for the future as far as Prozoro is concerned. Is it going to develop? Is it going to widen? Is it going to call for more investors? What's going to happen?
Well, Prozoro, it's an electronic system.
Yes.
But for the moment, we don't cover the whole stage of public procurement electronically. For example,
are you planning to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
We have it in our backlog of development for 2018 and 2019. We have to finish electronic tender documentation this year. We have to finish e-contracting next year. So hopefully in 2019 we will cover the whole contracting.
Or by 2020. Let's be realistic here.
Everything could happen. For example, recently, again, international institutions suggested to conduct ESCO contracts through Prozoro system. It's energy efficiency contracts. And of course, Prozoro State Enterprise and Ministry of Economic Development and Trade agreed to do this step.
Naturally.
And of course, they have to reschedule their development plans because they had to implement ESCO contracts. So if some innovative things will be suggested, probably we will postpone some developments for later. But for the moment, plans are realistic.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and telling us about the e-procurement system called Prozoro. It was very interesting. That was Viktor Nestulya. He is the head of the innovational programs with Transparency International Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with UATV.